Central banking is an institutionalized system of time theft because ultimately the fruits of your labor are a product of your time or energy, right? Time and energy used synonymously here. We printed $6 trillion in 2020, right, in the US. The average annual US salary is $60,000 roughly. That's 100 million years stolen, right? Through the counterfeiting of currency. If each human works from the age of 20 to 70, so that's about 50 productive years per human, the counterfeiting of $6 trillion USD equals the stealing of 2 million human lives worth of productive labor. Right? This is to try to make it real, like it's a real massive problem. And then, of course, the plausible deniability that's built into inflation, right? It's Putin's fault. It's Beyonce's fault. It's the supply chains. It's everything but the central bank. So again, we're back to that romantic lie, the deception and the stealing going hand in hand. I think this is hopefully what we can deliver as Bitcoiners is pulling back the veil on this bullshit.
And this is perfectly summed up from Robert Breedlove. Shout out to him and their podcast, What Bitcoin Did. But the point is that this cheat code that central banks have to just print out money whenever they want, the issue isn't anything that's going on in the economy. The issue isn't anything that's going on overseas in Russia or China. There's no geopolitical things that affect the dollar. The main thing that affects the US dollar is the money printing. When you have an unlimited supply of an asset with nothing backing that asset is then, determined to have very little value. It's propped up. This is what Bitcoin fixes. Right here, they're saying Bitcoin mindset, they're stealing your time from you. This is why you need Bitcoin to take it back. What do they mean they're stealing time from you? When you're working for your 9-to-5 job, how much ever money you make, whether you're on salary or hourly, every single year the dollar is being debased. So if your raises you get from your management or your boss or whoever, whatever they give you, 2% raise, 5%, 10%, is that outpacing the debasement? Because really you're just, if you're keeping up with the debasement of the currency, then you're just basically skating by. You're not really earning more purchasing power. You're just keeping up with the debasement. So how do you get ahead? Bitcoin is that one hedge that gets you ahead of this monetary regime that's been happening since the gold-backed dollar has been taken away since the 1970s. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. We're getting straight into it. We hope you got something from that Robert Breedlove video because it's very important to get a holistic understanding of what's being done. It's not inflation, it's not Russia, it's not China, it's not a war, it's not what's going on with BRICS countries. It doesn't matter. They're debasing the money because of the money printing. If you don't get it, you're never going to get it. And then taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance, as the Bitcoin bros called out, we told you that the dominance is still putting in higher highs and higher lows, and the trend is still intact. This weekly candle, since the last time we talked about it, has flipped from red to green. We haven't had the close yet, and we still haven't put in a higher high yet. But once again, this is still stair-stepping its way up. The RSI also stair-stepping its way up. Right now, Bitcoin dominance a little bit above 52, almost 53%. The banter bubbles, and you can look here over the year and see what's been going on, what's been outperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been up 118% this year. ING, CAS, Solana have all been killing the game. Render and Rune. Look at the alts versus Bitcoin, but you see that there are some alts that have drastically outperformed Bitcoin, but there's a lot that have not. The little red bubbles, you can see some of these are even in the negative year to date. So keep this in mind. Bitcoin's the safe play. You can play alts. Is it time to get into the alt market yet? Take a look at the total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin. We've showed you this before on the macro. This is a falling wedge. This typically is a bullish pattern. So are we going to see this rounding bottom? And this still has yet to play out. We could see one more fall down to retest and make this triple bottom. And before we blast out of this, the technical target to the upside of this is the top of this wedge, which would be around the 0.52 range. This would be a technical target. So if we get back above this, this could be a ultimate alt rally. Right now, looking at the RSI below, let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see. You can see we've gotten rejected from a major level of resistance. And you see we came down from the peak when we were overbought, and we came down, bottomed out, put in a higher low, and then came down, hit our head here for ultimately putting in this bottom. And then right now we're trying to stair step our way out by putting in a low, then a higher low, and then right now we put in a higher high from here to here, but are getting rejected from this resistance where we hit our head right here and then right here. Are we going to have a rejection to come back down? And what we have to pay attention to is this previous low. Are we going to break trend and continue to put in a lower low before we come back up? And we have to wait and see. If we come back down, this is not going to be pretty for the alt market. Now, if we come back down and put a low in and then come back up to retest this and ultimately break this, flip it from resistance to support to have a continuation, let's look at our chart again. We can see that we could potentially come down here, hold this support line, then come back up and flip this downwards resistance, flip it to support, then off to the races. Where are we at in the bull run? Well, there's a prediction. This is coming from Ian Bellina, and this is from Tokenmetrics, so shout out to them. And this is one of their charts they pulled together. You can see that the bull run is going to potentially be the longest bull run ever. And why do they say that, and why do they anticipate that? Because every single time you see that there's a reduction in return, but you see that the bull runs are definitely lengthening in time. So right now we haven't even came up to retest this level. And how high are we going to go? They have a bear case, which is going to be a 2.5 reduction, which is $8 trillion. That's what the return is going to be, up to 8 trillion. The base case, 10 trillion, and the moon case, 14 trillion. So this is how high we potentially could go, but it's not going to happen as fast as these two did before, because there's a lot more money that has to get put into the space before we ultimately see this blast up to the upside. So the takeaway from this, we want you to really listen to this again and let it sink in, because they're taking money away from you. It's the hidden tax that nobody really understands. Unless you're a Bitcoiner, unless you're knee deep into this space and have a full holistic understanding of what Bitcoin is and why it's important for the global economy, if you don't understand that and you're just sitting on the sideline, you are getting money taken from you. You already pay taxes. You pay income tax, you pay federal tax, you pay state tax, you pay sales tax, you pay all these different taxes, but there's one hidden tax, and that is the debasement tax. Every dollar that you earn is losing purchasing power year over year over year over year. The only thing 2020 did was expedite that disbasement, because it gave them a reason to print out more money. Once again, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. This is an important concept to fully grasp and understand, because you're going to end up being in the poorhouse, because what's happening in the US is the middle class is shrinking while all the wealth is going to the already wealthy, and it's going to be just rich and poor. That's how a lot of these nation states and a lot of other countries, how they operate. So keep that in mind. And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. With that, that's all I have for you today, and I'm out.